So you've just done the Cannonball 300, or you're thinking about doing the Cannonball 300, or maybe you just watched the video that he and I made last year and you're wondering who made the Cannonball 300? Who is this legendary, beautiful person that made such a fun route? Well, I'm sitting right next to him. Marc, tell the people who you are and why you decided to make the Cannonball.
Hi, I'm Marc Sinclair. I created the Cannonball a couple years ago. There wasn't a lot of options in Ontario for bike packing. I was trying to find something that I could do over a weekend. And so I put together established pathways, routes that were in Ontario, and the Cannonball 300 was born.
I forgot to mention that we're actually sitting in Dundas Driving Park right now, and bike packing season is almost around the corner, which is kind of what made me think to do this interview. What is the Cannonball? Like, who is it actually made for, and what kind of bike or what kind of gear and experience do you think people need to actually get out there and do it?
So the Cannonball was created for someone who wants to try bike packing, someone who doesn't necessarily have a lot of experience, someone who doesn't necessarily have all the right gear, but someone who wants to get out there and just experience it. Whether it be credit card camping, so stopping at motels, hotels, or going to campsites along the way. You can carry all your gear. You can have someone meet you part way. So it's really designed just to be accessible for anyone looking to start and learn more about bike packing.
Yeah, I think like that was one of the great things that I learned doing it for the first time last year with you was like, what, 80% of the ride is pretty mellow, and it's like fairly kind of good introductory gravel riding for the most part, and a lot of gorgeous roadways that you can actually get into. So I mean, I thought that was a pretty cool thing to know that you don't need a ton of experience. And I love credit card camping. I've never actually heard that before. Really? And that's hilarious.
Yeah, and even for bikes, we've had a gentleman do it a couple years in a row on a full suspension mountain bike. You could do it on a gravel bike, you could do it on a hybrid bike. There's a lot of people who've been doing it on road bikes. I would put an asterisk in there with some of the changes we made to the route this year. So watch the last video for that one. Yeah, I mean, it's, like I said, it's very accessible.
So the point of our trip last year, I mean, it was my first time actually doing the Cannonball 300, but the main reason why you wanted to get out and do the ride was to actually add some new routes into the ride, because you had some feedback from some of the riders who had been doing it for a while, or people who just said they wanted some extra elements in. So tell us a little bit about the reroute and your kind of thoughts behind adding those things in.
Sure, okay. Well, we'll start with adding them in. Yeah, so there was a stretch after St. Catharines that was a lot of road, and it was quite a busy road. And just from me doing it many, many times, that's what I knew. But it's a section that I wanted to improve on. So yeah, so we've now, when you get to St. Catharines, right after the mural, we now hit some double track that then takes you up a gravel road behind Brock University, short stretch of Bruce Trail, and then comes back onto, and then into Short Hills Provincial Park. We do some gravel and some pretty gnarly double track riding in there, and then we head back up, continue on top of the escarpment to Ridge Road and continue the route from there.
Yeah, so I actually didn't film the really gnarly downhill. That's going to be one of the tougher sections of the trail, and just kind of watch out for it when you enter Short Hills, because that's there, and I mean, it'll catch you off guard, because there's actually some routes they had to watch for too. So that's where the asterisk comes in for the road bikes, I think, is that you're going to want to hike a bike through that section, or kind of reroute yourself, maybe around Short Hills if there is an option there.
And depending the direction you do, and if you're doing it in one day, you'll be pretty tired by that time as well, so you'll have to be alert when going through that section of trail.
Yeah, and I guess now, since we're talking about a bit of the reroute and Short Hills and that, I was a disaster actually getting ready for this. I was worried so much about bringing camera gear to capture the whole ride that I forgot my coffee maker. I think I had my AeroPress maybe, so I stole some of your coffee. I actually lost my one flip-flop, so if you notice in the rest of the video after we stop at the Windmill Bakery, I have one flip-flop dangling from the back of my bike, and that's because when I was digging for my wallet, I just unclipped and left it hanging out at the windmill. So I actually, where did I put my sunglasses? I think I left them over there, but short, I just lost them again. But riding through short hills, it got very mountain bikey, and I didn't actually have, what do you call them, a croaky, or like the little rope that holds onto your sunglasses there. Didn't have one of those, and I thought, oh, it'll be fine just tucking them into my jersey there. They'll hang on, and they definitely bounced off somewhere. So $200 Oakley Holbrooks were down for the count, and I had to buy a new pair that are somewhere around here now.
And a charging cable.
Yeah, I had to buy a charging cable. Oh yeah, it was a disaster. What were some of your highlights of the trip that we went on specifically?
Probably a lot of Josh's reaction to a lot of things I really enjoy and aspects of the trip. For example, the Windmill Bakery. Just having all these options available to you and buying all of them and sitting down and eating like everything.
All the glutinous?
All the glutinous. Also, yeah, this trip, the comment about the Arbor hot dogs was hilarious. I had forgotten completely about that. Another part of the trip was really neat when we were riding along the waterfront and we found the Trail Magic with the ice cream truck. Across the road was some cottagers, and they were well inebriated, and they welcomed us over there, and they wanted to learn everything about our trip and why we were riding for so long, and why did we have loaded bikes, and wondered why on earth are we not using an e-bike for this, and that an e-bike would be substantially easier if we had used it for this trip. So
yeah, I think the e-bike comment was brought up a few times. It's funny now that e-bikes have been around now long enough, because they started to really get popular 5 years ago. They started coming on the scene, and now they've been around long enough that even people that don't ride bikes a lot know about them, and now they think that you should just always use an e-bike.
Yeah. It's the easier option. Why would you pick anything harder? Yeah.
Very true. Very true. And they let us use their picnic table across the road, which was great.
I think they filled up our bottles of water too.
We should probably mention is that was opening weekend after Ontario's previous lockdown. So planning the trip, we were trying to find a campsite, and we couldn't find one any sooner than Dunnville. So there's 175 kilometers. I think I actually put it in the bike computer. You can actually see the shot of how long we rode.
Yeah, we did over 3 days, but we did half the distance on the first day, and then the second half over 2 days. So yeah, it was definitely front heavy.
What's your reaction to seeing how popular this route's actually become, and then how many people actually want to do 300 kilometers in a day, and knowing that you had a hand in the punishment that they're giving themselves?
Yeah, it's something I didn't expect. I really should have, but yeah, it's definitely grown to a point where a lot of people are doing it in a day, and I think that's partially due to the fact that it's very accessible. So because you can use a variety of different bikes, people are opting for lighter bikes, faster bikes to try and just be able to cram it in one day. And then it's also, because it's so accessible, if you can't quite make it, or if you're nervous about making it, there's so many spots along the way where you can get extra food, resupply. If you had to bail, someone can come pick you up. So I think that's also what's caused it to grow in that way. Yeah, so the very first Grand Depart we had, I put a call out there, and not many people were signing up, and I fully expected to come to this drive-in park with nobody here, saddle up and go ride the Cannonball. And I think we had like 10 or 15 riders show up. And it was great to talk to all of them, hear their stories, how experienced some of them were, how inexperienced some of them were, and how we all just rode off together as just like a small little community. It was amazing.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Having just talked about actually going and riding the route in a day, you're obviously not going to be stopping much, but if you actually want to do this as a proper bike packing trip, what are some of the things that people should definitely stop and see, even if they're especially if they're not from the area? What are those kind of highlight spots that they can really kind of take in and appreciate?
Yeah, well, at least on the top of my head is Devil's Punch Bowl outside of Hamilton. That's just off the route. but it's a magnificent place to go check out. So I think if you have the time, it's something you'd want to go check out. Boris Falls, just down the path from there. Again, that's a great spot to check out. There's that bridge in Waterford. That's spectacular. You want to hang out and spend some time there. I mean, if it's warm enough and you brought your bathing suit, or you didn't, the beach at Dover is phenomenal, and it'd be nice to like relax and spend some time there. And then there's various beaches and campsites along the waterfront. That'd be great to stop at.
Yeah, for sure. And I think at Devil's Punch Bowl, there's another bakery. If you time it right, there's another spot. It's like an old barn there, right? I've never actually been there, but
I've loaded up. Don't you worry. Yeah. You know me.
Glutinous. So much glutinous. That was like one of the things that I definitely forgot about you talking about the whole time until I started going in.
I did not realize I was such a fiend for gluten until I watched the film. Yeah, for sure.
So I guess we'll leave it or lead it off, or we'll end it. What's your preferred, clockwise or counterclockwise? I think there's a benefit and drawback to both.
Yeah, there's definitely a debate I've noticed on the Facebook forums and where I've seen people theorizing which direction is better to do. And there's actually been a lot of discussion about wind directions and,
I guess, if you're going for an FKT or something,
I don't know. But my personal preference is the direction it's posted, so I guess that would be
heading out towards Brantford.
Heading out to Brantford.
The way our video goes.
The other option would be go through Hamilton first, out to St. Catharines. Does have its pros. So if you take that direction, and especially if you're trying to do it in a day, you drive through a pretty congested part of the route in the daylight. So that way you're most visible. It's probably the safest option. You're most alert, you're awake, you're fresh, right? You can get through it quickly. And then you end on the rail trail coming back into Dundas. So that way, if you're a little loopy or whatever, then, it's off the road. There's no traffic or anything to deal with. So that's merits of that direction. But I just really enjoy, starting a bikepacking trip on the trail. And it's kind of a gradual start into it. And then I find, especially over the days go, at least we found that maybe we're looking forward to getting a shower and creature comforts, and so sometimes ending it more abruptly by going through a town or city just to get back is preferable.
With it being the opening weekend, Ontario coming out of lockdown, not everything was actually open.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, so our first campsite in Dunnville, we had to have sink showers because it was like there was no showers, everything was locked. I remember we rode for 14 hours or something, mostly because I had to stop and film every hour or so, maybe more than that.
I ate a lot of gluten.
There's a lot of gluten eaten.
Yeah.
And the good old sink shower was, luckily we were able to do that. But I mean, I definitely went to bed a little soapy and wetter than I thought I was going to, because it was just trying to get it. Luckily we got there so late too, because I mean, people would just be sitting there trying to brush their teeth and we're wiping our armpits down into the sink. So
that adds to the experience for sure.
Yeah, for the people watching us do it. While they're
and then day two, our shower was off the dock at the canal. So
do we? Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we've just found all the places to have a shower. Yeah.
That definitely because we didn't. Was there showers available at Jordan?
There was. I think I remember they didn't. There was something with it. I don't know what it was.
But no, our actual shower.
We were looking for we were hoping there's a hand dryer because we got totally soaked.
Yes, yeah,
So
that
we
was
were
our shower. That's what I was going to say our shower was,
Yeah,
getting drenched in that downpour.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, Mark, I gotta thank you for actually bringing me out on this, because I know, I mean, it's almost been a year since we actually did it, and technology issues for me is what kept me from editing that video for so long. But it was such a blast, and I mean, it's April 28th, 2022. Season's just starting to ramp up. What kind of trips have you got planned this year?
Well, I'd really like to do the Cannonball in a day. You think we can do it?
Maybe.
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 Yeah.
Maybe. Probably not, but maybe. I mean, I'll try it. I'll try it.
Let's do it.